Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this Black Friday. Seems pretty black for all the stores from what we saw earlier. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us, and I have a very special guest, someone who has joined me. I guess once a quarter at this point, pretty
Yeah, it's
much.
about every few months.
Yeah, and we're kind of jumping back to old subjects and then bringing them up again. So, with no further ado, I'm going to allow Prepper now to kind of introduce himself, and for those of you who don't know him, and we'll just kind of get this show on the road and see where the conversation takes us.
All right, folks. Good to have you on. Always good to be on with the roaming prepper. Hopefully, you had a wonderful Thanksgiving and all that. For some people, it's not a great time. Other people, it is. So hopefully, at least you're getting a respite. But my channel has. I was telling people before, of everything. I did a bunch of, I have day off. I did a bunch of things in the back where I cleaned up old videos. Just went in and just kind of got rid of stuff from years ago that were just sitting there. And it was very interesting to see the evolution. So I kind of started as I was going to just do prepping. And then all these problems started to happen with Rona. And I started to change and evolve. And then with my background, I noticed that a lot of the prepper channels were talking about current events and geopolitics and finance and stuff like that. And so, that's right in my wheelhouse for what I do. And I said, okay, and started to put my own little ideas and thoughts and probably got too political at the beginning, which has basically hindered me since. But, we're learning and fighting our way. And now, basically, my main channel, which is this one, Prepper Now, I just kind of keep it on the straight and narrow and do like 7-8 minute vids on current events and stuff like that, finance, and then I've got this thing called the Crisis Report, where I talk about the conflicts around the world. I am a history teacher
Yep.
by trade, currently doing that, licensed in 4 states. I've done it for many years. And, I just see a lot of parallels to what's happened before and what's going on now. And I just think it's important for people to get the big picture, as we were talking about before,
Yeah.
of what is going on, around us right now, because it is unprecedented. But at the same time, I think a lot of people don't understand it or recognize it, and they're just not taking it seriously. And when you put what's
Yeah.
happened in history before, and nothing is going to be exactly the same, but as they say, it rhymes. There's a lot of rhyming parts to
Yeah.
things that are going on right now, and it's concerning. So I yield back.
Thank you, sir. And just there, for those of you who are not familiar, there are a lot of us, including Prepper Now and myself. There were quite a few in the chat who are creators. We're always kind of communicating in the background, like, "Hey, did you see this? What do you think of that?" Um, just trying to make heads or tails because to me it feels like the Cold War started all over again, but someone took
Mhm.
all the map of countries and went like this and just shook it out, and now all the borders are different, but a lot of it is the same. You're right, it does rhyme. um and actually it's interesting, I just threw this in the chat, but let me pull that back up here. So I had a poll, if you will, to start off. What concerns you the most? The choices were financial collapse, war and terrorism, shortages, and something else. And by far, the big one was financial collapse.
Yeah.
And that's definitely weighing on a lot of people. And at the same time, we're throwing funds to other areas trying to accomplish some kind of goal. So I guess we'll start with the elephant in the room, which is, and I put ME for Middle East. Thoughts on the Middle East situation? They did that stand down. They exchanged hostages, which ironically was children from one side and like convicted people from the other, which is weird. What do you think about that? Is that going to be a short term thing? Is there a bigger play here? This is a tough question, by the way.
Yeah, it is, because there's a lot of working parts. So I think that we've gotten over the first hump. I think that stands very well for getting at least through this 4 days. I'm much more optimistic than I was this morning. I was doing my crisis report last night. I kind of, of course, with all the holiday stuff, and I'm a lot of people know this. I'm a recovering alcoholic, so I have an addictive personality, and so just because it's a holiday, I'm always looking at stuff. I'm addicted
Yeah.
to finding this stuff just by my personality. So of course, I put together a report yesterday, and so I kind of knew a lot of what was going on, and I follow from all over. I really do try to play it down the center. I have my own personal thoughts, but I present it, I want to be very just open and agenda free. And so I always end up with this guy by the name of Amir Sarfati because he is an Israeli. He is obviously pro-Israel, but he
Right.
just gives their side of view, and he does it well, and he covers a lot of different stuff. He's very geopolitically connected, and he basically said, if we shouldn't trust them, but this might go through right now. But on the other side, whether it's 1 day, 4 days, or whatever, we're going to look back and regret this.
Yep.
So hold on, I have my little buddy here. Um, all I can say, dude, is go plug it in and then go watch TV with your sisters. So yes, I'm also a dad. For those that don't know, of course, he doesn't. He was born in a barn. He doesn't know how to close doors yet. Anyway, sorry. That's my
Well,
mini.
no, I'm waiting for the Amazon truck
Yeah.
to show up, and the corgis will flip out.
Well, I'm an older dad, so mine are all young. So they're all we actually have had a fun day today, going out and stuff. But anyway,
And see, and that
uh,
that speaks to not forgetting the most important thing, the
that
people you love.
absolutely it really is, and that's why I show up and do what I do. I'm not
Oh
worried,
yeah,
about me. I'm 50 years old now, but it's my kids. I've got 5, 9, and 11, and what
yeah,
kind of world are they going to inherit? And so I'm a fighter, a lot to my own detriment, especially on this platform. So when things kind of aggravate me, I never really hold my tongue, which isn't good, but at the same time, yeah, it grows in the dark and it dies in the light. So I just very much have to say it. So back to the Middle East thing.
yeah,
Um, I think that they're going to get through this. I think it bodes very well. Because the 50 women and children that are coming, I think they're doing 13, 13, 13, and then 14 that's left or whatever. I don't know the math,
yeah,
but
yeah. I'm not
Friday it's
sure either.
end. Yeah, and of course, Hamas is getting 150 back. All the men are 17 to 18 years old, and they are men. They're not exactly children. They are of military age, and then women. So
Right.
I hope everything's on the up and up. I hope that they all get through it. But if you listen to Gallant and you listen to the other guy, Hagevi or whatever his name is, they're just saying basically we're just kind of taking a little bit of break right now. We're taking a shower, we're cleaning our clothes, shining up our weapons, and on the other side of this, we're going to be ready to start to throw down again. So I don't think that this war, as it is going to stop by any stretch of the imagination in the next week.
Yeah.
Now, of course, the international community is saying, please, let's ride this out, especially people like Egypt. It does
Right.
bode well for Egypt because they're expecting, and the Israelis are kind of, it looks like they're doing this, trying to push all of the refugees down into the Sinai Peninsula. And then it becomes a problem of the Egyptians. And of course,
Right.
they don't want that. And this is a hard red line for them. So it just,
Yeah.
there's
And
a lot of
correct me
moving
if I'm
parts.
wrong,
Yeah, go
but
ahead, please.
didn't the Palestinians and the Egyptians have a pretty bad go around back in the 60s or 70s? I
I
can't
mean, all of
remember
them have
where.
like bad history. It's kind of like Asia.
Yeah.
You look at,
Yeah.
I mean, the Koreans, the Japanese, the Chinese, and even the Filipinos or whatever, they, like all of them at some point just did really nasty things to each other.
Yeah.
So I just think you have a large population in a very condensed area and a lot of history. And so you can always look back and say, these people have had problems. Of course, the Israelis are just like, we want them out. Because I'll be honest with you, I think the Israelis. At first, I thought this one thing, and then I saw Bjorn's video about the big oil and gas field off the coast. War is generally always over resources. You can name
Oh, I
religion, you
agree.
can name other things, but honestly, it is always and usually, or even the Crusades were basically over resources, real estate. And
Right.
so I thought it was a real estate thing. I thought they're like, well, they're just going to pound this place, turn it to rubble, go in there, clean it up, and turn it into a whole bunch of new real estate. But then after watching Bjorn's video, he presented it as being potentially because of oil and gas.
There is a big natural gas field offshore on that side of the Med.
Hold on real quick.
Sure, sure.
Dude, go to our room. It's in our room. It's right there on my nightstand. That's where the charger is. It's right there. It's got to be. Go ask your sisters. Okay. Oh, all right, keep going. Sorry.
Actually, there is a rather large play, energy play on that part of the Med, because I know the Israelis are trying to develop it, as are the Egyptians. So yeah, it makes you wonder. I mean, there's a lot of talk even back the Vietnam War where Gulf of Tonkin drilling rights were
Yeah.
in question for many people. So yeah, that's a good point, that real estate could range, or rather resources could range from real estate to water, which is, I think, going to
There's
be a
always
future
more
thing.
going on. You know, this
Yeah.
we never are presented with everything.
Oh yeah, no, without a doubt. So do you think Israel is also taking this opportunity to kind of evaluate what they've accomplished so far and say, okay, have we discombobulated this organization enough to where they're not going to come back and pick fights again?
Yeah, I think there's a lot going on with the Israelis. I think generally right now, a lot of the military is out there. And you can make the case of America watching Ukraine using all of our weapons. They're just kind of seeing
Mhm.
what this stuff will do, like how, they've been creating it for decades. It's never really been tested on a large platform. And now they've got all these arenas to kind of go in there and check it out. And so
Yeah.
I think they're sitting back and kind of studying it from that and then seeing how they can make those advancements. And then there's, other stuff going on. There's a real vacancy with America right now on the global field. I mean,
Yeah.
we used to be it was the Pax Americana, for better or for
Oh yeah.
worse. Oh, we've always been at war. Yeah, but a lot of those wars were, done. Um, the auspices, the reasons why I always be in question, but for the most part, when you look back, it kept things generally working in certain ways. And so, for better or for worse, it had this kind of qualitative and large, global kind of, I don't want to say peace, but okay, all right. I'll tell you what, buddy. Give me 5 minutes, okay? This is. Uh, I'll be
No,
right
it
there.
wouldn't.
5 minutes.
No, no
I'll be right
worries. It wouldn't be
there. Oh
fun
my
if
gosh! And when the
if
sisters are like sitting there, probably zoned out on their screens, which we try not to do. But my wife left to get. She was on. She worked all day. But anyway, let me.
yeah.
Well, it'll take me 30 seconds. I know exactly what he's looking for, and I'll go get it here in a moment. But
No worries.
yeah, it's just, I think there's a lot of things going on in the Middle East right
Yeah.
now, all over the globe. Everybody's kind of sitting back. And as we were saying before, they're using this time not just to build up their militaries, but to build up their power, to build up their resources and their game plan. I mean, from
Yeah.
Azerbaijan and Armenia to China and Taiwan to, gosh, I mean, look down even in South America.
Yeah.
There's places going on with a bunch of change and stuff. There's a real problem right now between Venezuela and not Guyana. The
Is it
place.
Colombia? No.
No, it's not Colombia. They're right on the coast. It's
Trinidad, Tobago?
yeah, it's Esquibo is the name of the region. It's I'm having
Oh,
a loss right now, but it's resources
I'm
essentially.
trying to remember. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a big gas field up there, and it's kind of on the border of both. And Venezuela's like kind of trying to muscle and strong on them because this country is, and feel free to put it in if anybody can tell me what country it is. It's escaped me.
Mm.
If they're trying to strong arm them too, so everybody doesn't have that American eye looking over their shoulder and this kind of thing. And of course, we did everything to make our country rich and off the backs of people, but at the same time, uh, there could have been some moments of helter skelter if we were not there, kind of generally
Right.
managing the global plane. So
Well, we were maintaining an American hegemony for
yeah,
all those
absolutely.
years, essentially,
Yeah,
or NATO hegemony, if you want to say it
yeah,
that way.
yeah. I
Um,
mean, when Russia went down in '91, whatever, it just kind of, we had about 15 years. I remember when they went down. I was like, wow, this Cold War's over, and we can kind of take the stress off a little bit. I grew
Yeah.
up in Reagan's America, and I remember being freaked out about nuclear war and
I
watching the movie
remember
the
those.
day
Well,
after
you and
and
I are in
seeing.
the same age group, so yeah, I
Yeah.
remember, the day after when that came
Oh
out
man,
and
that
Red
was
Dawn, I
I grew up
mean,
in Kansas. That was shot down the road from us in Lawrence. I was in the Kansas City area.
oh, man.
Yeah,
That
and so it was a big to do. So everybody knew it, and all the parents were talking. This is pre-internet, but everybody's making phone calls because it came on one of the networks, and all the parents were like, "No, we're not showing it. We heard it's gory and horrible, and we don't want to." So I
yeah.
wasn't able to watch at the time, but it became this taboo thing that eventually I got to watch. But you're looking and watching it all, and sure enough, it's downtown Massachusetts Street, Lawrence, Kansas, and people are freaking out, and they're at the
Oh,
Jayhawks
yeah.
football field, and yada yada yada. And it just, I don't know.
It's, yeah, it's I think this very young generation we have now is experiencing anew what we caught the tail end of
Yeah,
in the Gen X group, so to say. By
yeah.
the way, it's Guyana and Suriname.
Thank you very much. That's it.
It
Perfect.
was bugging me. I'm like, because I've been down
I
there and
wanted to
I
say
know the
Guinea, and I knew
countries.
it was not that, and I was like, I'm not going to say it wrong. I'd rather just say I don't know. So yeah, Guyana, perfect. Which I looked up one time. It's an English speaking. It's actually
Yeah.
considered more Caribbean when this came out. I love this stuff. Obviously, it's like
Well,
I can't read
Belize
enough
is
of it.
actually a British protectorate too, because I did a
Okay.
medical mission down there.
Oh wow.
But it's interesting because the cities speak English, the countries speak Spanish, and if you go into the mountains, which is where we went, they speak Aztec, like
Really?
a Mayan dialect. So we had a priest who was speaking to them
Yeah. Yeah.
and translating to Spanish to me, and I would translate the Spanish to English for the doctors so that they can do
Oh
treatment.
wow.
And it was like something out of I Love Lucy. But yeah, I mean, the history down there is just very cool,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
But well, cool. Yeah. So that's
I
yeah,
don't know. Did I
that's
answer
a
your Middle East?
you sure did. And I mean, but it's a lot of pieces going on. I'll tell you what though, I was actually, other than the immediate sneak attack, tactically speaking, the attack was actually very well executed, taking
Yeah.
away the human factor just from a tactical standpoint. Strategically, it was terrible because they just took a beating right after. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what the goal was other than to be ugly because they've basically gotten trounced.
I
But
mean, that's I mean, sometimes the most simple answer is the answer. We're
yeah,
always trying to look deeper and find these hidden meanings and things like that. But sometimes
yeah,
it is what it is. You know.
yeah. It could just be hatefulness. I
Right.
mean, it's been,
Absolutely.
yeah, for sure. So, did you want to help Mr. Man
Hmm.
with the thing, or do you think he got it
I
squared
think
away?
he's okay. He's because he'll
Okay.
go annoy them too, and he hasn't been back. He's pretty persistent, so I don't know
Okay.
where he gets
Well,
that
and
from.
yeah, and that's what sisters are for, is to annoy
I said,
them.
no, I'm like, come on, you're babysitting. You're failing right now. Because the one's going on about to be 12 next month, and so she can actually technically babysit. But yeah,
So here's another one for you. Will the Volodymyr versus Vladimir, but that's a tongue twister, say that fast. Will this continue into attrition? I'm really shocked at how quickly this did not happen quickly. Like, it just became this grind. I don't think anyone expected that. What was your take? Is this going to just be this weird status quo where they're just going to fight in the Donbass for 10 years?
it very well could be. I thought back in summer before the whole Middle East thing, I thought that basically the Russians this winter were just going to go in and try and go for the knockout punch, and we're going to really go for it. And at that point, NATO and America, tired of just spending, because we started out by sending them like uniforms and helmets, and now we're
Right.
giving them IRBMs and stuff like this. So
Yeah, and
I
that's
think,
kind of
yeah,
scary, actually.
it is, and and so I was like, okay, so if you're taking the psychology of it to keep escalating, obviously we're not going to lay back. So I thought the Russians were going to go in this winter because it's kind of to their advantage, and really go after them and really try to put the knockout punch. And at that point, sometime over the winter into spring, NATO was going to start to really step up and do. more in the region, and it was just going to basically be NATO soldiers that are, filtering into Ukraine but fighting as Ukrainians, air quotes.
Right.
And then, October 7th happened and everything just changed. And so now what I think is going to happen is I think I know there's a lot going on in Avdiivka. I kind of watched in the background because I was real up on that, and then of course the Middle
Right.
East took over. So I've got a good basis in it. There's been a lot going on in Avdiivka with back and forth and all that. I think the Russians are going to come in and really try to use the winter to their advantage, and they're either just going to get some kind of a negotiated peace in the spring that will basically, not be okay with everybody, but the best they can get, or
Right.
attrition, or it's just going to be, this just kind of keeps going on. But there's also a lot going on with like Estonia and Finland. I think they're worried as well. Like they're putting dragon teeth on the borders, they're closing them all. There's a lot of stuff going on with that. Now, I haven't really seen anything to tell me that the Russians are going to keep pushing beyond Ukraine, but who knows? I mean,
See, and what concerns me, especially for Lithuania, is that they're in between Belarus and the oh, what the hell's it? Kaliningrad
yeah,
Oblast,
the little oblast up
that
top. Yeah,
little county or
yeah,
whatever. And it wouldn't take much for Belarus to just say, guess what? We're going to connect those
yeah,
through your country, which
yep.
would absolutely be a mess. But it hasn't happened yet,
No,
thankfully.
no, it hasn't. I mean, they're all kind of getting their areas prepped and all that. So I don't know. It could really. The problem is, it's like, we've mentioned this, and I know you're getting ready. I don't want to preempt the next question, but there are so many little fires all over the world that everybody is just using the chaos. And
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it would be very convenient for the Russians and Belarus to take over that little country and reconnect things, if you will. Um, You could
Well,
technically make
you
the
had,
case that, well, you're on the border too. You're NATO. We said the same thing about Ukraine, but so we're going to take that piece as well. And there are sympathies of natives there on the whole thing with that would be okay with Russia coming in, and are
yeah,
not really happy with the West. But I don't know. I mean, I really don't know at this point
yeah.
because the Middle East just turned everything on its ear.
Yeah, and that, I guess that begs the question, well, I guess, how interrelated is my question one with question two? Like, was there a bigger picture where someone said, "Hey, you know what? We're not doing well up here in Europe, so go and punch Israel in the eye over there, and
Yeah.
start something over there." So it's kind of like a bunch of people in a bar. It's like, go over there and punch that guy, so the
Yeah.
bouncers go over there,
Yep.
so I can go and punch this guy again.
Oh yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Do you think there's a bigger picture? And I mean, this is purely predictive and theoretical.
Well, I like the
Are these
analogy. I think the analogy is perfect. There is a bit of a global bar fight kind
it
of
basically is.
starting to erupt.
Well, Turkey and Greece were having an argument. They're both NATO countries.
Yeah.
And then, well, you have Armenia and the Azeris are getting into it too.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
And they
it's
were
like,
kind of, they were getting ready to just go full on, and then they kind of stepped out because I think the people in the region, Israel and Iran, were like, wait a second, um, we're getting ready to go kind of down in Gaza, and so I don't know if they got tapped from them and saying, hey, just hold off right now. There's supposedly been some peace deals and all that gone on, and everything is kind of as good as it's been over the last few years, but it could erupt anytime as well. Um, I don't know. I just think a global bar fight is a perfect analogy. And right now, there's just a few people, and over by the pool table and out by the side of the bar that are starting to throw some swings, while everybody in the rest of the room is kind of looking around, going, "Holy crap! This is my chance to get that sucker punch on that
whoever.
guy that was talking to my woman the other day."
Right. It's really weird to behold, because you look at some of these conflicts and going, what are you trying to accomplish? Like, this is not going to end the way you think it will. But they're
No,
dead set on jumping into it.
Yeah, and it won't end. There's always unintended consequences, and I don't know. And that right there is kind of back to like on our level, people like you and I that are not over there fighting or not some global, horse trader or whatever.
Right.
You know,
Global horse trade. That's a good one.
it's true, and it just, we're really just kind of all sitting there watching everything, and honestly, we should be making certain kinds of preparations
Yeah.
uh, just on our own level. We've been trying to do that in the background here, building a garden, fencing off stuff. I'm getting ready to redo my chicken coop tomorrow, actually. We've got contractors coming out. I've been trying so hard, and she will not do it. My wife, of course, is a millennial, one of the good ones. And I want to build like a root cellar. I'm like, let's
Ooh,
build a root cellar. Her grandparents have one on their farm,
that
and
would be
she's
great.
she's
Well,
like,
that could
oh
serve
man,
multiple purposes.
oh my gosh, it could. They're the size of a bunker. I mean, you can make it so
Yeah.
it literally is both. And she's wants we need more room because we're in a 1,800 square foot house, and she's needing an office. So we're talking to people about building a little office off the back or
Okay.
whatever. And she's like, that's all she wants to think about, and all the other projects have kind of gone aside. So, um,
Well,
but
well,
yeah, I mean, we need to
yeah.
be focused on like the personal
Well,
preparedness, what we're
happy wife,
doing, getting
happy
the
life.
skills. Happy wife, happy life. Yes, she's pretty happy. I'm doing a pretty good job, but
There you go.
yeah, but yeah, it's we look at all this stuff going on all around us. It's very easy to sit there and want to watch all the videos and do all that, but same time, we should really, get the information we need, and then at the same time, uh, be working every day towards something, even if it's a little goal, whatever that may be. So, side hustles are important right now.
Yes.
It's important to yeah, just have your basics, as I say on my channel, FEMS: food, energy, medicine, and security. We last week or 2 weeks ago went out to my dad's down in Virginia and came back, and for an afternoon we basically set up a solar generator that I kind of helped him build, and try to get him to learn how to do that so he can keep his food on if something were to come through and stuff.
Right.
So always want to be working on that kind of stuff. I mean,
And
I'm
there's a
my
lot of
weakness
stuff
is my weakness
people
is
can do in the
gardening.
background.
What's that?
There's a lot of stuff people can do quietly in the background that doesn't cost them too
No,
much
you don't
either.
need any money. You can prep without money. You can. I mean, go look at Craigslist free. You can find something every day that you
Oh,
could
yeah.
turn into something, whatever that may be.
Well, we
So,
have these big SCADA units out here that are monitoring all the production,
mhm.
and I'm trying to figure out where they're wholesaling the retired parts because I want one of those big solar panels. I
Oh
just
yeah,
I can't figure out where to get them. That's, a $5,000 panel, and one of my buddies bought one for $100. I'm like, hell yeah, I want that. But
yeah. I
I
don't
can't
know,
figure out where to go get them. So,
but yeah, that would be a great thing to get.
oh yeah,
Um, So yeah, there's always something. It's important to look at what's going on the global scale, but at the same time, it's always good to just kind of keep it centered around your house and home
oh
and
yeah,
all that kind of stuff, and developing relationships. I'm really big with people around our neighborhood. We like to talk to our neighbors, and we're not sitting there having Christmas with them, but we go out and get the mail and
no,
wave to them and ask what's going on. And sure enough, we'll be like, oh, we saw coyote 3 nights ago. We were going to tell you, and that kind of stuff. So just kind of a finger on the pulse of everything. And
yeah. And
um,
I've said it before myself. Every area has its own vibe.
yes,
It has its own rhythm of life, so to say. So, whether you're in like Jason in Manhattan or, us at further made I'm in a small city, you're further out, but you kind of know the vibe of your area. And I've encouraged folks, and I'm sure you do the same. The neighbors, go take walks at night. Don't tune out with a headset. Like, listen to the sounds of the neighborhood
yeah.
because if something's off, you're going to pick up on it really quick.
Well, you hit something right there. I mean, you want to do something that's great for prepping but doesn't cost a dime. Go do an area study. Go look at every single in and out
Mhm.
road. Go look at every hill, every vantage point, every whatever that's around,
Yeah.
and you can learn a lot about your area. That I mean, from all kinds of stuff. Where the coyote's going to be coming from, and to what's the best way out of here if they block the main thoroughfare, or there's a snowstorm, or I got to go to the
Right.
store, and there's a tree down from a lightning storm. So always good to do that kind of stuff, and get an area study, and very simple thing to do.
Yeah.
Virginia Bushcrafter, I see him in here. He's great at this. Go camping.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, go camping one night. You want to talk about a free vacation where you learn a lot of skills, and can have some fun with the family and put the screens down. Go camping. So it's important to stay centered, I guess is the best way to
Yeah.
put it. I
And
don't want this, and people know I don't want to be hyperbolic. I don't want to sit there and say we're all
no.
going to get nuked tomorrow night. I think it's awesome that everybody said that it's a financial crisis. That is
Yeah.
the most concerning.
And that's something that percolates in the background, and I guess that actually leads to that's kind of a segue to the next question. And it's just a loaded question because I know what you're thinking. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, go ahead,
Is
set
our
it up.
is our economic situation more or less dire than we are being told?
Oh,
So
it's
as not
it's
to
so much
bias
more
you, of
worse.
course, I think we've
Oh,
talked about it.
it's so bad, and I see anecdotal stuff all the time. I'm actually, and there's something that's popping in my head right now that I can't think of. I'm sure it'll come to me of just things that are going on that people are in real problems right now. There's
Yes.
we're going in and we're looking at possibly getting a HELOC or a home improvement loan, and they're talking about the rates, and the guy's like, well, what's your home rate on your mortgage? And ours is 3%. And he just said, man, you are so lucky to have that. He's like, you never want to give that up. I said, of course. I said, we're never moving.
Yeah.
And then you think about that, and oh, that's what it was. But they're saying the numbers, and they're putting all this stuff out. My wife and I have really good credit. We're very frugal. I've already paid for my college. She's almost done with her. She went to medical school, so
Oof.
she's got astronomical bills. And they're putting out these numbers on what people can pay. And you can just tell by the way the loan officer is talking. And I don't even know if we're going
Yes.
to do this. We're just talking right now, but they're used to people that are just destroyed credit, or live now, all debt all the time, don't worry about it later, like don't care about the payment price or anything.
Mhm.
The way she's doing the numbers, like, well, our numbers are this and this, we want to keep it this payment, we can't go above that, and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. And it's really telling of the American mindset, especially on these kind of things. Everybody just lives in the now. They put it all on credit, and they'll
Yeah.
just deal with it later.
And there's a way to use a credit card. You can take a
Oh
large
yeah,
payment and okay, I know I can pay
you just pay it off every month.
20% a month and I'll pay it off in 5 months and you can stick to it, great.
Yeah,
But
our cousins did that. They've got a credit card, and all they do is they go out and they pay for their groceries with it, and then they pay it off immediately. But they get all the miles, the airline miles with it, and they go and they travel, for much reduced prices all over. So, like,
yeah,
that's smart. That's what you're supposed to do.
right. You're
Uh,
basically borrowing someone else's money to make a big purchase and then
yeah,
the faster you pay it off, the less interest.
yeah.
But a lot of people don't do that. They just keep building that
Well, the
debt.
scary thing about what's going on right now and this is something I've talked a lot on my channel, and I think it's something that people are not really understanding, but it is. Hold on real quick.
Sure.
Can you hear that? I had a phone call. Anyway, what people don't understand is that we're almost to the point where everything we can pay down on our debt only goes to the usury. It doesn't go to the principal. I had a great conversation with my dad.
Yeah,
My dad was real smart financially, and we're talking about it. And it just, if you get to the point in a country where all you can do is pay off what you owe the credit card company and not what the
right.
thing it is you put on credit, whether that's a laptop, whatever,
Whatever. Yeah.
you're spiraling down the drain, and it's just a matter of time
Yeah.
before because it only gets worse from there. And in America, we are basically at that inflection point. And from here, everything is just going to be paid. And I asked him, I said, what do you think? Like, what is going to happen if it keeps up this way by like 2025, 2030? And he said, honestly, I don't know. He said, I don't know. And the only things I can think of is that it's going to look something like a Soviet Union kind of collapse. Is that the whole thing just
Yeah.
craps the bed financially, and then we just basically balkanize and regionalize, which is one of the main reasons why we moved here. We were in the DC suburbs, and I moved us way out to Western Maryland, Central Western Maryland, because this is the area that actually a couple years ago already tried to secede once.
Yeah.
So I said, I want to be with those people.
Yeah. Well, Texas is always threatening to run everyone off. So,
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that to pop off.
Yep. Yep. Texas, that whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Well, we're
um,
the only state, to my knowledge, has 750 million in gold bullion in reserves at the various universities here.
well, it's because you're smart. It's because they know
So
what's going on. I've got medals. I'm not the kind of guy that's going to sit there and tell you to buy this or buy that or whatever. But I mean,
if you
even
can diversify, it's not a bad
even
thing.
basic whatchamacallit, like financial sense tells you to have at least 10 to 15% in metals, whatever that may look like, whether that's on paper, whether that's in your safe. That's just basic 101,
Yeah.
So, um, I mean, they want, we all know that they want to push us digitally. We know that we want to get the cash out of the hand. That way they can watch every single transaction. The reason why is because eventually they're going to want to take taxes on everything. They don't want, your friend down the street doing a garage sale and making $1,400 not getting taxed on it. They're chafing at the bits to get all that money in there. And so to do that, they've got to go digital. So that is something that is on their minds, and they're going to try and do whatever they can to push us in that way.
Oh, yeah. And it's all about control at the end of it
Yes.
also. But to your point, so today we got most of our, Christmas comes every year. This is not a surprise thing like an earthquake. So
Mhm.
we started shopping and getting gifts months ago, right?
Which is
And just
smart.
kind of spread it out across like half the year.
Yeah, yeah.
And this morning we got up and we had breakfast, and I'm like, let's go people watch. Just because my wife is one of those girls, she's about 5'2" with boots on, but she'll walk into a room and completely take the room over with her
Yeah.
energy. So she's like, hell yeah, let's go people watch. So off we went. And I was kind of shocked. We decided to go into Target. I'm not a fan of Target's behavior, but it was just an interesting
Yeah.
banner, if you will. We walked in, and they had all these little barriers for checking out and everything. But the sign that says Black Friday line starts here was actually leaning against the wall.
Huh.
And I asked the guy, I pointed to it. I asked one of the guys, he's like, you didn't need the sign? He's like, no. He said, checkout's only about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Really? He goes, yeah. Every store we hit was almost the same way, with one exception, which was Academy.
Okay.
But it's also hunting season down here.
Right,
So,
right, right.
yeah. And
Yeah,
football
Pennsylvania
season.
opens up tomorrow. So it's all the it's yeah, this is a big happy time of year for people around here. They have their Thanksgiving, and they chill out and do their thing on Friday, and then they get up early on Saturday morning and start trying to pluck off some bucks.
Yeah. But it was interesting watching all the stores. And I know we were leaving, and Sassy goes, I have a feeling in about a month we're going to hear a really bad sales report from this year. And I was like, you may not be wrong.
We were in the mall. We went out today. We kind of chilled out, and then I took my kids to the park, and we went there for a little while, and then we went to two places. And what we did was, my wife was like, "Don't take them and go buy them a bunch of stuff," but the grandparents want to take care of that stuff. We get them activities. We get them jump park passes. We get them, camps and stuff like that, and sports, and we try to keep it active. But we went and just took pictures of things. I said, okay, find something. Let me take a picture of it. We can figure it out from there for your grandparents to go get it for you, because they like to buy physical presence and watch them open it up and the smile
Right.
and it was I mean it was more crowded than usual, but it was not like a Black Friday that I remember. I mean, you remember seeing people sitting there,
Oh yeah.
chucking elbows and trying to beat the you know what out of people just over a 75-inch TV.
Yeah. A janky TV, no
And a
less.
janky one that's going to break in 2 years anyway, you know? So, yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
And
I think
again,
it's going to come out that the numbers are not great.
no, and to your reference of the fighting over TVs, you look at this is how y'all acted over damn television for the holiday that happens every year at the same time. It's not like, oh, hey, Christmas happened in October this year by some miracle. No, it's always the same day.
Yeah.
Why are you freaking out now? And imagine them, and then look at Rona with the toilet paper and the idiot with the tarp filled with gasoline in his pickup truck. God, that was a Darwin Award waiting to happen. What would happen if people couldn't get food, even for a week?
I don't know.
Holy
Again,
cow.
that goes back to that whole like mentality. I had a person on my channel. I've got skins. I don't show my face because honestly, folks, I'd love to show my face. I actually look good too. I'm down. I saw a former student today. She said, "Well, you look like I didn't recognize you because you lost weight." And I was like, "Oh, cool. Thank you. Very great compliment." But I would love to show you my face. It's just I'm in education and I can't do it. I can't. So,
Yeah.
um, you know, oh God, I forget where I was going. I got caught up feeling good about myself for losing a little bit of weight, which
That's not a
sucks because
bad
right now
thing.
my knees hurting and so I walk every night after eating dinner or whatever. But anyway, I don't know where we're going. We're talking about Americans and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the fighting over
Um,
food and whatnot.
yeah, we she basically this sub said, why are you showing all these pictures of you know grocery stores with empty shelves? And in 21, I had a thing for all my subs. I said, hey, send me pictures of what's going on in your area. Let me see, because at that time the food problems were starting to happen, with the stocking and all that.
Right.
And so a lot of people send them. I turn it into what I call a skin. So I'll do a talk and I'll put this thing over it, and it'll show people. And she wasn't trying to be mean or anything, but she was just like, "Gosh, where the heck are you? You should move." And I said, "Well, it's from other subs, and I'll tell them to move," kind of jokingly. But that's the mentality. People just don't know that, like, it really, I don't know. I think it's because I'm a history teacher. Like, I've seen enough civilizations. I tell my students all the time, this is here we go. I tell my students all the time that the richest country in South America in 2005 was Venezuela. And now people literally will break into the zoo and take the rhino and kill it and eat it in that game meat because
Yeah.
they can't get anything else. And that was what, 18 years ago?
And that's
Things can
frightening.
happen in like in like a moment. It's people just don't get that it really doesn't take much for things to go sideways. And you don't want to be the person standing in line. You don't want to be the person waiting for water. You don't want to be the
No.
person. You want to be the person that's sitting back, on your radio or whatever, checking out what's going on and having a conversation with your neighbors, saying, this is what I'm hearing. I'll tell you what, I'll watch your property if you guys need to go make a run, and if you can you get this? Or we're about to go
Yeah.
make a run. What do you guys need? Can I go pick something up for
Yeah.
you? Just
And
stuff
and
like
that
that.
comes in very valuable if you
Oh yeah,
have I have retirees on my street. So my neighborhood goes to extremes. I'm probably the younger of the older people in that I'm in my early 50s. And
mhm,
then there's a couple of retirees, and then everyone is under 30,
yeah,
which is weird, but there's a lot of small kids, young families. So, being able to talk and say, hey, even during Rona, I had coworkers with little kids. I'm like, look, I'm gonna go explore and see if I can what I find. Is there anything you guys are in a bind for? Do you need Pampers or baby formula
yeah,
or something? That became an issue. And it gives a little bit of peace of mind when you have that kind of like a very loosely associated assistance group, right?
yeah,
You're all just kind of helping each other out a little way. It's frightening when you look at how people behave. It just I can't even compute how they'd act. But yeah, the stores looked awful, man. It just, other than Academy, of course, which is pretty much full all the time on a Friday and Saturday.
Mhm.
um, your typical shopping meccas, they did not look good at
Yeah.
all. Uh, and I think, to that point, so we had mentioned earlier, I think on before we came on, the economies of some of our competition, if you will, specifically in the East.
Uh-huh.
Their GDP was largely based off of real estate, and their buildings are such garbage that people are falling through their apartment into the guy's
Oh, I
apartment
would not
below.
want to be in a new build in China under any
And they're
circumstance.
tearing some down because
Yeah, I
they
believe it.
have buildings with no people. How fictitious. I mean, granted, there's always a little bit of voodoo with the numbers. Is China really as bad as I'm starting to think it is?
I
Because I
think it
think it's
is, and
way worse than we think.
I think it is, and I think they know that they can't really expose themselves. As we all know, you want to see, the art of lying. Go check out a Chinese financial sheet on anything. They just he had what you call he had Evergrande. Country Garden was just in the news. I'm trying to find this thing. Yeah, Country Garden shrugs off penny stock label. Um, but basically, they got, if I remember the thing, it was through Zero Hedge. They got whitelisted, which means they go to the top of the list for a bailout. Now, it
Oh,
used to
wow.
be that China just basically said, no matter what goes on, how it goes on, who it is, we're not bailing anybody out because that's a sign of weakness. And if we do that, then we got to bail everybody out. It just shows the world that we don't have our financial house in order. And sure enough, it came out after literally years saying, nope, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do it to Evergrande, not going to do it. And now they're going to do it. And there's so many other houses like that that are in a problem because they don't allow them people over there to do stocks, and real estate is the way they save money. Real estate and gold and silver, physical metals, and they I know that they're in major problems. There are people that are trying to get their equity out or do whatever they can to get out of either the real estate deal they're in, or sell it, or just get the money. And because they get
Yeah.
returns on it. They basically invest in a company, the company builds a bunch of places, and then they get a return on it from it renting out or whatever. And there, numerous people are not being paid. And so imagine
Yeah.
going and spending $50,000 on what is effectively a financial instrument that's supposed to pay you $475 a month for 30 years or whatever, and you're not getting a nickel.
No, if anything, it sucks up your money.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that was something I had posted on a short video, and I probably should have done a longer one. But some of the banks now, like my office is in a building that has one of the bigger banks here, and they posted, come talk about our new or better returns with such and such account. And it was kind of speaking highly of all these offerings. And then at the bottom
mhm.
in small print on this paper, it says, these are not FDIC insured checking, saving, money market accounts. These are financial investment, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you guys are hurting for money because you speculated, and the commercial real estate here is taking a dump, and in China's taking a
Yep,
dump. And you're trying to get people to put their money in other things where they won't be protected. I mean,
yeah,
granted, if it all collapses, the FDIC may take a year to pay you, but you have no recourse if you move those assets into some of these investment instruments.
right.
And they don't put that in big print. And I think banks right now are screwing a lot of people, and they're not aware of the fact that they're being screwed because they don't understand the system. Do you think that's an issue? Like a lack of knowledge of how the system works is really hurting people?
Oh, absolutely. They want us dumb and paying taxes. I mean, that's just no other way to put it. They
Yeah.
don't want you to know basic financial sense. If they did, they teach it in high school. And some places do now, but a lot of them don't. Uh, they wouldn't allow credit card. companies to be on the mall of a new university, frothing at the mouth to get those new freshmen in to sell them on a credit card so you can go buy a laptop for school, quote unquote, and then end up paying $7,000 for a $500 laptop. I mean, it just,
Yeah.
that's they thrive off people not knowing what's going on, and um, you know. They're going to do better if we're dumb. They're going to do better if we make mistakes. I was
Right.
literally telling that to my daughter today. I forget what was the topic, but I just said, "Look," I said, the air quotes they, she knows I'm talking about the,
The entities.
larger, yeah, the powers that be, people in charge, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
They want us, just dumb enough to pull the or smart enough to pull the levers, as George Carlin said, but dumb enough not to know what's really going on. And so
Mhm.
they're going to do better if we're screwing around and screwing up, and they're able to make money off of our mistakes. If
Yeah.
everybody is fiscally prudent and doing what they're supposed to do, it's not going to go well for us, or no, it's not going to go well
Yeah.
for them.
Actually, I need to send this to you after we chat, but there's some software guys basically created a software package that analyzes the stock trades of all the Congress people and tells you what they're trading and at what value,
Oh
and
man.
gives you the option of then setting up your personal account to trade along with them. Or you just monitor and then you trade as you feel like on your personal account separately. And I'm like, that's pretty ingenious. And the guy said they were making millions. How does a guy making 150 a year or 200 a year as a senator come out with 50 million? Well,
I
because he's
mean,
playing games in the background.
yeah, it was it. First of all, that guy's smart. So for setting
Oh,
that
he's
up,
brilliant.
and second of all, you're even smarter if you're following him.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, this I like this. I just
yeah,
found him
that's
today.
a
I'm like,
brilliant
I like
idea.
what you're
That
doing,
that
dude.
guy's smart. I like that guy.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, you look at all that's going on. I mean, how do they know to buy those defense stocks right before and all that? It's there's insider information. Um, but on our level of things, they want people still going out there and getting a mortgage at 9.87% or whatever, or
Mhm.
getting a credit card and spending themselves into oblivion, and then
Yeah.
needing to pay all the fees and everything else. And if not, like the politicians, the banks want to do that, and the banks are the ones that basically own everything in the background in some vicarious way anyway. I mean, look who you want to know who the master of the world is. It's basically BlackRock and Vanguard. And I don't
Yeah.
want to get your stream shut down, but when you really peel back the onion, they're the ones that are making all the decisions. They're the ones that are behind all these cultural problems that we're having, that
Yeah.
people are trying to repudiate as much as possible and rebuke, because, first of all, it's insane. Second of all,
Yeah.
it's not smart. It's a terrible way to run a culture and a society. So, but who is it? It's they want that. Why do they want that? Because they know that all the money on the back end and everything is going to be much more lucrative for them.
Oh yeah.
So,
Well, again, typically wars don't start unless someone benefits, profits, or gains
oh
something.
yeah, cui bono. Yep.
Rarely do people go to war just for giggles because it's horrendous, But
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to be interesting. So we're going to close with this one, my friend. And this one could be a sole own video, rolling it together. Are we witnessing parallels to the 1912? I may have those dates wrong. That pre-World War One, if I recall, there was a
Oh, your dates are
recession.
perfect. I mean,
Are they?
14 is technically when it started, and it went to
Right.
18. So yeah, your date
There
is
was about a
perfect.
4-year slow decay. I don't know the word for it. This slow slide into the garbage can
Yeah,
that involved recessions. It was around the time I think there were bad harvests all over Europe, climate change of the time, if you want to use the modern vernacular. All
sure.
these little things were happening. There were a lot of regional conflicts. And then 1914, people are like, oh, well, they murdered the Archduke and that kicked it off. In reality, there were so many other things. That was just the match that lit the candles. That was not the cake.
Yeah.
What is your take? I mean, this is truly your your wheelhouse, this historical context stuff.
Well,
What do you
I
think of
mean,
that?
I think you look like Italy. Italy in World War II, they were all up in Africa. They were in Abyssinia, which is now modern day Ethiopia. You look back to World War One, and there was a Balkan War right before with Serbia, Bulgaria, Montenegro, and
Really?
Greece in limited form. Yeah,
Huh.
1912 to 1914. They really think this is the appetizer, and basically those areas broke away from the Ottoman Empire, who eventually would become a belligerent to the Russians. The Russians, of course, backed the four breakaways into this Balkan League that they formed, and
Right.
that's kind of where the first, like, behind the states, it's not official yet, but everybody's throwing punches kind of thing started to happen. And it
Right.
also kind of set up what happened with Franz Ferdinand and all that. So, all of this that's going on is all over the world. And like I said before, this really sets it up for people to take advantage, not people, but countries. The country of Guyana and in Venezuela. There's a if we're over in the Middle East, then we're not caring what's going on in the Caribbean. So this sets it up. That's the problem. And back to the bar fight analogy,
Yeah.
it really, I swear, I'm going to use that. It's
Please
absolutely
do, man.
perfect.
But
It's
it's
perfect.
true.
It
Two guys
is
get in a
so
fight
true.
over
As
here,
former
and then these guys,
bartender and bouncer, you know, it just it
I
makes total
bartended
sense.
as well. Two
I mean,
guys that start arguing here, and then this guy
oh god,
punches
fight
the other
fight
guy, and
back
I'm
by
like,
the pool tables, and the other guy's over there, throws
yeah,
the
I'm like,
guy out
what
the
did you
door when
two have?
nobody's looking and starts, beating on him by the cars. It's a total, it's a perfect
It's
analogy, but
But
it's true.
so you mentioned, so there was a fight, and that would be, so Montenegro is, just for those of you who are familiar, is to the east of Ukraine, no, the
Correct.
west of
East.
Ukraine, right by the city of Odessa.
Yes.
Then Greece is just further south. You have Turkey,
Yep.
obviously, on the other side of the ocean.
Yep.
So basically, the same area
Yep.
that
And they
we're
were, of
looking
course,
at
a part
right
of the
now.
Ottoman Empire. Yeah.
Right. So now all we've had is the conflict split in two, and you have it a little further south and a little further north.
Yeah, there's a lot of parallels. That's why, because I went and you said this, and I kind of read up on it again, and I'd heard about it, and I know that it was kind of one of those precursor conflicts, and it really is, but it really does show that all of these other ones that we got right now, Ukraine and Russia, Gaza, I'm sure eventually Taiwan and China. It might not happen this year or next year,
Yeah.
but eventually it's going to happen. Especially if China really starts going down the drains financially. I mean, what's rule number one of a country in financial decline? It's going to war because it just kind of kicks everything back into gear. I mean, you look to America after the Great Depression and going into
Yeah.
World War II. It literally brought us back. So,
Yeah.
for better or for worse, cost millions of lives, but um, it just we are witnessing many parallels. Like I said before,
Right.
you're not going to have things completely repeating itself, but you're going to have
No.
rhymes. And there's things I see that definitely remind me of World War One. There's things that I'm watching that remind me of World War Two.
Mhm.
The Korean Peninsula in the last week has really kicked up. Kim Jong
Yeah.
Un has been really belligerent in his words, so you've got that whole thing on there, and that could be a redux of the Korean War. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's all over. That's the big concern. Is it literally is on almost every continent. Something.
Yeah. And of course, we're not even speaking about Sudan having an open civil war.
Oh man, Africa is like the whole north of Africa, from Sudan all the way over to Mali and the
Yeah,
coast. All of those, like
it's
that's
bad.
I didn't even think about that, and it's bad.
And 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 it
Niger.
and it blows my mind because people here are like, oh, there's, regardless of their political affiliation, well, these guys were rioting or that guy rioted. And I'm like, y'all do not understand what a real insurrection looks like.
No.
And I put that on another platform. I'm like, you want to see a real insurrection? And I showed footage of cops from a cop's body cam in Darfur, in Khartoum, I believe it was. No,
Uh
I'm
huh.
sorry, it would have
Yep.
been Sudan. In Khartoum,
Yeah.
running across
Khartoum's
the
capital.
street over dead bodies of civilians while
Yes.
they're, and
Yeah.
somebody
That's
said,
real.
no, no, we've had insurrections. No, buddy, you have not.
No, no,
You
no.
really don't
No,
get
some
it.
dudes
Like,
from
it's
Indiana
like
cracking open the Bud Light and rolling into an open door Capitol and taking selfies. No, that's not it.
no.
That's
Dumbass
idiots
riot,
following. That's
yes.
idiots being led into the fire. That's people that should have said, "Wait a second, you know,
Yeah.
maybe I should employ
Well,
critical thinking and go to my
even
car
the
immediately."
right, well, even the leftist riots, they were riots. They were not, I mean, people got hurt and killed, but they were not a straight up civil war, straight up
No, a
insurrection.
civil war is like people are going house to house killing each other.
Right. Well, basically, what happened in Israel, which was an attack, but that would be happening within the
That's
borders.
more on par with what we're talking about.
Right. It would be, not fighting. Well, people would be fighting government. I actually read a white paper I need to share with you.
I love it.
Um, on a, it was written by a military officer who did this as a living, like analyze insurrections. And he was like, yeah, it would be multiple entities, like the government may not even be on the same side, and multiple factions. And he said it would be an absolute disaster in any modern country.
Mhm.
So it's scary that people don't really understand how bad it can get.
Well, the other thing is, you said that you kind of sparked something in my mind. People don't understand that warfare has changed from where it was 100 years ago. I mean, you really are seeing next gen, fifth gen, whatever you want to call it, warfare from where, the battlefield is not like people lining up and attacking each other like Battle of the Bulge. It's,
Yeah, no,
social media and it's propaganda and it's, things, all the infrastructure. You cannot tell me the things that have happened in this country, from the train derailment yesterday in Kentucky all the way back to wherever,
yeah,
East Palestine, Ohio, that there isn't someone somewhere doing something to mess with our infrastructure in that kind of a fifth gen type of warfare. You know it's happening.
oh yeah,
And it's happening elsewhere because I'll hear it. I'll go through the news and look and be like, yeah, this big plant of chemicals in some oblast in Russia just
right.
blew up, and then something in Turkey just blew up, and then you're like, wait
Yeah,
a
it's like,
second,
wait a minute, what the hell? Yeah,
yeah. So
it's frightening, and I probably need to read up on it because I remember reading about it. And I love history, which is why I guess we jive so well, even though that's not my background formally. And just looking at those dates and all
mhm.
those little things that led up to the bigger one, and are you getting a feeling that maybe like, and we love to beat up, especially Gen X, we like to beat up on everybody, but Gen Z in particular. I'm starting to notice a lot of younger folks on some of the other platforms asking rather legit questions like, "Hey, what do I do if I got my first apartment? Like how do I start?" Do you think maybe these kids might start seeing something for what it is, or is it
I
too
can
early to
affirm
tell?
to you completely right now, for what I do is in my job, there are a lot of people that are these kids, these 15 to 20-year olds.
Right.
They know what's going on. They're not dumb,
They're getting it.
they're getting it. That's a beautiful thing about youth is
Yeah.
it's visceral, and you can tell. You can tell when things are off. They're not, smart or anything like that, but they can sit there and go, "Wait a second, this doesn't seem right." A lot of I think they're going to be, how do I put this? There are a lot of young men that are really, really tired of the, for lack of a better way of putting it, as my dad would say, the pussification of the male species. And they are going much more in the other way. There is a return to just, masculinity, and not toxic masculinity,
No.
masculinity. And I say this to my daughter, she's getting to a dating age, and I said this the other day. I said, eventually you're going to want to be with a man, like a man that is a guy
Right.
that is strong and will sit there and go out and stare some dude down when he's coming your way, to let that person know that you're nothing to mess with. At the same time, when you guys go up to the door, he opens it up for you and
Right.
says, "You go first."
Well,
So
they've they've convoluted toxicity with masculinity. And in
On purpose.
reality, there's the masculine, the feminine, and the toxic.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be a specific color, gender, religion to be an a-hole. Like,
No.
that's, yeah, you
No.
you can pretty much be anything and be an ass. So
What I
yeah,
don't like is this. I don't like the social engineering. If you are as you are, then you are as you are. Then that's the way the good Lord made you. It is what it is. If you're sitting there, and someone said the other day, and you turn a high school that traditionally was, 50-50, and all of a sudden 1 and 3 are quote unquote between those two, and I think you're picking up what I'm putting down.
yeah,
Um, that is social engineering. That's not
you're
a
trying to
natural thing to
redefine
happen. They're
them.
trying, and I think they're honestly
Mhm.
doing it because back to those moneyed masters in the background, they want our society sick because at that point they can basically do whatever they want with it. If we are
Right.
healthy and we are, on the up and
Yes.
up and
100%.
psychologically sane and safe or like strong, then we're tougher to anesthetize and put one over on.
Right.
If you're
Eh,
just
yeah.
bat-ish crazy, then it's much easier to do that too.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, without a doubt. And honestly, I've told people, because folks ask me, well, I'm on TikTok, which has a young demographic or younger. I'm on a couple other platforms that, people are like, well, who's there? I said, the young people are there. And I want them to hear a different voice. I may get kicked off all these platforms one day, but while I'm here, I can at least get someone thinking, wait a minute, that guy with the big mouth, he kind of told me I should have canned food. Maybe that's not a bad idea. If I can get one kid or one I say kid, one of these younger
Yeah.
generation going, well, hell, he might be onto something. You and I have accomplished something, man. I mean, you do it every
Well,
day.
that's why I went into it. I was sitting
You
there pissing and moaning online 10 years ago, going, what the hell's happening to my country? And I just was like, you know what? I gotta get in there. I gotta do something. And so I was talking to my kids the other day, and we're talking about it's basically we're doing enlightenment. And so I'm talking about John Locke and Hobbes and all the thinkers, Voltaire, Montesquieu, Rousseau, and I'm talking about the tenets of freedom and all this kind of stuff. And I just stopped and I said, if you've got a kind of society where you're not able to say these kind of things and all of a sudden they're controlling it. Let's imagine you get cancer and they sell you on some type of a drug and it
Mhm.
it does bad things to you, and then you go out and like or to your mom and you go out and you say, I'm going to tell people about this and let them know that this thing screwed my family up, and they go, oh, sorry about that, we're going to cut your credits off, your social media has all been shut down, and if you keep talking, you're going to be without a job.
Yeah.
That's what's coming. I was like, and all of them, like literally, it was quiet in the room. They kind of got it for a moment. I said,
Yeah,
look,
they
guys.
get it.
Oh, they get it. It's I forget. I think Lucky Dame said it. It's the experience that they lack.
Yeah.
That's all
But
it
we
is.
we
They
can
get it.
share it. We can share our knowledge, our experience
Yes.
with them, but it all, and you of all people probably know it best. It comes in the way we package it. Yeah, if
Sure.
you come, you're a young representative, and you yell at they're
No,
going to
no,
be
no,
like,
no,
no,
no.
you're a
You
fool.
don't teach them economics by going on bar charts and all that. You teach them about
No,
shoes. You say, what kind of shoes you want? You want the Walmart specials, or do you want the Steph Currys? Why is the Steph
right,
Curry more expensive? It's because they only made 100,000 of them. There's 10 million at the Walmart specials, and they fall apart after
right.
2 months.
And then you go
They get
supply
it.
demand curve. You
Yep.
get it?
Yep.
And ding, 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 the little lights
Yes.
come on. Yeah.
Yes.
It's
Absolutely. You got to make
funny
it
because
real.
I'm getting the ones after college, young engineers, degreed folks
Hmm.
coming in, and I'll go, hey, we're going to do a charity event. My company does enough. Told you that we do a lot of like charitable events,
That's
kind of
awesome.
like pay back to the community. We're going to do a clay shoot. We're raising money for breast cancer tests or whatever United Way. Go. I've never shot a shotgun. Okay, well, I guess I'm going to have to teach you how to
Let's
shoot a
go do it.
shotgun
We do
without
it on
shooting me in the
Saturday.
foot, right? And or I'll call, and I love bringing the younger crowd out and go, hey, look, we're gonna do a barbecue and we're doing a dog rescue or something. And the kids, these younger professionals are like, can my kids come and see? They absolutely bring your kids
Yeah,
so they understand what we're doing. We have such an opportunity, guys like you and I, and if all the other creators in this chat, and I know we all love to get on our soapboxes because I'm as guilty as the next person and bitch and moan, but we have an opportunity to really create a dialogue that could positively change the future.
we have to do it. We have to.
Yeah.
Like if we can't. That's why I get mad when people get mad because I piss and moan on certain things, especially when it comes to what we can and can't say. I mean,
Yeah.
I cannot sit there and watch that stuff happen and just be like, "Oh well, I have to protect my channel." I can't do that. We have got to talk to people about what's going on because there really is a full court press to make it so everything is whatever miss or dis you want to put it, so people can't
Mhm.
say it. And I tell them, I say, you know what? I think you all are smart enough to handle this, and you can discern right from wrong and make whatever sense it is of it. You've got the
Yeah.
intelligence to do it. We do not need a third person, a middleman, a proxy, whatever, deciding all of that for us because eventually they're just going to make it so it benefits them and not us. That's it.
Right. And they get the control thing.
Oh, the kids do absolutely.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? Let them well, I don't know what the age group is because Clockwork Orange can be pretty terrifying for some. But, some of those older movies, Clockwork Orange, 1984, just, watching this is what in 1948 this guy thought was going to happen 40 years later. And then they'll start looking at the TV in every room and going, wait a minute, my phone can record me. That's the
Oh,
TV in the room. Hell, the
I've got one
TVs have
for you.
cameras now.
I've got one for you. We
Shoot.
were at there's a place called Second and Charles. It's a bookstore. It's a great place. They do secondhand, but they also do new. And we're in there, and that's where we took my kids to go and take the pictures and to figure out what they wanted for Christmas because they got everything. They got
Right.
toys, books, and this kid right in front of us came up, and he went to the salesperson. He says, "Yeah, I'm looking for the book 1984. I swear to God, dude." And the girl was like, "Oh yeah, we come back here." And this kid was probably 20 years old. And I just sat there for a moment and I
Wow.
just got this big smile. And I was like, yes. And I had this, and it was a personal moment. So I love the fact this is what tells me that God is real. Okay.
Amen to
Having this
that.
moment here to put this out there because I'm sitting there and I'm watching my kids, and this kid comes up right, 2 feet away from us. So he goes, "Ma'am, I'm looking for the book 1984 by George Orwell." And I was just like, my heart was like,
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah. And it they have separated communities by color, religion, political party. They're also working very hard to separate age groups. So, oh, Gen Z doesn't like the boomers, and Gen X makes fun of everybody, and the millennials do whatever. And in reality, that only serves their purpose because if we're collaborating across those age groups and across the demographics, from a business standpoint, that's vertical and horizontal
Mhm.
integration, right?
Yeah. Yep.
That information it travels through. And I wonder very often if they keep putting these stats about Gen Z and boomers and millennials, and they're doing that on purpose to drive those wedges because heaven forbid these kids sat down with a World War II vet and heard what happened
Oh, they do
firsthand.
everything they can to put wedges. They you have to ask about what they do with numbers and all the information. They do everything they can. I mean, look at political polling. I mean, I have a poli sci degree, and I'll go in and I'll look at the polling and be like, oh, well, this is one where Joe is up by 10 points. And I'll go in and I'll look. It's like, well, yeah, you asked 36 to 45-year-old suburban women about
In
this, and
Seattle.
they were like 33% of the entire population polled. These are the quintessential "I hate Trump" people. So of course you're going to get. There's
Right.
lies, damn lies, and statistics. I mean, you can make anything you want in any direction. You can poll how you want. You can stat how you want, and they
Mhm.
do it on purpose. All that is all part
Oh,
of it
yeah.
as well.
Yeah, because they'll say, "Oh, gun crimes have increased by 300%." Now that's terrible. Crimes increasing at all. But then what was the original number? 3.
Oh,
So we went from 3 to 9 out of a population of 1 million. You know what I mean?
oh, I do that
You know what
every
I'm
year. I
saying?
show them that. I show them that. I say, look,
Oh,
let's sit there. Something will happen. Oh, okay. We do the drills, right? You have to do the drills or an active shooter, yada yada yada. And I took them afterwards. I said, I want you to know one thing. I said, first of all, you don't have to be afraid. And they said, okay. I said, first of all, nothing's going to happen. And if it does, they're going to have to go through me. And I swear to God, I might not make it, but you will. And the second thing I show them is stats from the 1960s. Because if you know what they do, there are if you hold your hand way up high to the left and you hold your right hand way down low to the right, they fall off a cliff after the 1990s. Now, there's a little bit of a nub up in 2018, 2019, which is basically coronavirus, but
yeah.
and all that, that happened, and all the people sitting at home and going
Oh, yeah,
crazy or
crimes
whatever.
just
So but yeah, and the crimes, it went on.
yeah.
Everything popped up. It was a strange time. It was not a normal time. But if you look back from the 60s when the
Till
murders
now.
were really high, and then the 90s it kind of leveled out, and then from the 90s on down, and of course they'll say, well, it was because of the ban on assault rifles, whatever. But even you look at the information on that, the assault rifle ban, it was already going down anyway,
Yeah.
because we've become more calm as a society. And there's other things. You've got alarm systems and better response, better surveillance, for better for worse. But there's just a lot
Yeah.
of other things now that can keep it so crime isn't as bad as it used to be.
Yeah. So I guess if people take anything, those of you who are still in the chat, is you know, try to help people who are genuinely lost. They need information or experience collectively. And Prepper Now, myself, I mean, all of the creators, we all have different life experiences. We're all in different places. We can truly help young folks just now starting their lives to make the best decisions for them. And that can change the country for the better
We have
in
to
a
do
small.
that. We have to. I mean,
Oh,
that's the
yeah.
only way we're going to make it. If we're not talking to the younger generation and going, look, you're getting sold a bag of goods that is not what it seems to be, then they're going to get the rug pulled over their eyes.
Yeah.
We
Because they
have
won't know.
no, like Lucky Day. They don't have the experience. You and I do.
Yeah. No, for sure.
I was a Democrat 20 years ago. I thought I could solve the world's problems, and I wanted to save the whales and everything else, and because it sounded great, it sounded like it was possible. And
Right.
then when I got educated and I started reading books and looking at things like FBI criminal stats, and I thought, wait a second, what I was told is not true.
It's not jiving. Yeah.
It's not jiving. It doesn't make sense. Wait a second, if they ban all weapons, then everybody's a criminal. Well, that doesn't make sense. And it started to get it. And it was just
Yeah.
because other people started to present information in a palatable and sense like a good way, a logical way. And that's what it takes. If you have to present things logically, and then the people will get it, the kids will get it, and they'll make the right decisions.
Oh, yeah. No, for sure. So what I'll do, I guess, if we have any questions in the chat, we ran a little bit over there, amigo,
I know.
which is fine.
My
I know
wife
we.
got home and I heard her. I was like, I just am enjoying myself talking to you so much. So,
Oh, yeah. No,
you
this
know that
happens to us
always.
every time we get
I know
together.
it does.
So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, all caps for your questions for Prepper Now, myself, and there's apparently a bunch of jokes going on in the chat, so everyone's in a
Oh,
good mood
good.
right now. So,
Hopefully at my expense. Good to
oh no,
see
this is just
everybody
in
in here.
general. Apparently, they've beaten up Atari when somebody's talking about Atari games and a bunch of other stuff.
Oh, all right, cool.
So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, we'll leave the floor open to questions for a few minutes, and then
We've got a PS4, and I went to the second in Charles Place. They had a Doom game for eight
Doom.
dollars. Doom, like that's the OG. I was playing that in
Wait,
high
the
school. My
original, like
friends,
the old
yeah,
Doom with the
but it
heavy
was like,
metal
well, no, not that one, but it's like the
soundtrack?
PS4 version.
Okay.
So it's like a regular shooter game or whatever. But me and my son have been jamming out playing that.
Oh, that's fun.
Because you're like killing zombies and you're
Oh,
going
yeah.
around and getting through different.
I've been playing Battlefield 4, and I got kind of scolded by one of my teammates. I put a few too many mortar rounds into a building, and when you first play it, you don't realize the building. It's not like some other games. The building will collapse if you
Oh
shoot
yeah,
it up.
oh yeah, it's
And
real.
so I killed a teammate by accident in the game. I was kind of like, all right, well, that clearly I've underestimated how that works.
Hmm.
But in any case, I'm not seeing any questions. Oh, there we go. Nope. That's Lucky
Well,
Dame reminding people to use
oh, we
caps for the
covered everything,
questions.
man. We hit all the good points.
No, but man, I gotta tell you. Oh, here's
Allie's Adventures. Yeah, you know what? And Allie, I know who you are. I will do that when I don't have a risk of my employment. You know, I honestly, I mean, if when I first started, the first 4 months of my channel, I got up to about 500 subs. I showed my face. I didn't care. I actually would do. It's funny because I've done like entertainment stuff before, and I would do like little soliloquies before. Where one was, I remember this is one of my favorites. I called it Adopt Antifa, and I would be like, for just $300 a month, you can adopt Antifa. Let them come into your home and do their, and it's just like and I
right.
thought it
It's
was
just
great.
silly
I
crap.
thought it
Yeah.
was great, and I would like do like a little 30-second like commercial like that, and then talk about something. And then being in education and all the cancel culture stuff started to happen, and I really wanted to talk freely. I felt like it was hindering me, so I had a conversation with my wife. I said, "What should I do? Should I put this channel down? Should I just talk about BS? What should I do?" And she said, "You know what? Just don't show your face. How about that? Can you do that?" I was like, "Yeah, I could do that." And now it's been like this thing since. So
Okay.
I don't
Question
think
for you.
anything would really happen, but I don't know. I just right
Well,
now I like not having my face out there.
yeah, I actually have some coworkers. Fortunately, a lot of them are former service members as well who've
Yeah.
now figured out I have a channel thanks to one Marine who thought it was funny while drunk to bring it up. And so, but the good thing is most of them think like we do, and actually some are
Yeah. Well, they understand
homesteaders. So
OPSEC.
I just met a bunch of new preppers in my area who are now like, we're all now collaborating on info, which
See,
is
that's
really cool.
cool.
That worked out really well. So, question for you from Prepper Book Club: what is one important prep that you think people should do over the next month?
Um, I think people should worry about their energy. I think it's just because this is lingering with my dad. So if you can figure out a way to keep your fridge on in any kind of a SHTF, preferably with something that is solar based, I think that's an important one for
Mhm.
people to do. I think the 2A stuff is important right now because if we really do get into a major global conflict, all of that, anything that is of an explosive nature, will automatically go elsewhere and not into, there'll be rationing, if you will. Food
Yeah.
is always important because the pricing. I mean, we have a place around us that does like wholesale stuff for food, and I took my parents over there, and my parents kind of have they're older, so they've got like the Great Depression meets prepper mentality, and
Mhm.
so my dad when he
That was
comes
my
up,
dad.
he goes and he visits some of our stores because they're just cheaper than where they are down in Virginia, and they load up and they fill up for a while and they go down, and so I took them to this one place, and they found my mom likes Hershey bars and they found them for like 60 cents when they're $2. I looked today at a grocery store, they're like 250
Mhm.
now. Unbelievable. And they brought like 20 of them. And because they know it's her like her little treat at night. She knows she's
Yeah.
gonna eat it. So they
Mhm.
took and put that in their fridge. I gave them actually last time we went down, I gave them our spare fridge for their garage. So if ever there's an SHTF, they can take the food, put it into the garage. That's where their generator is. They can all do it. My dad doesn't have to do much but plug some things in this way and that.
And then they're good.
So yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking like along that. I always think FEMS. I think food, energy, medicine, and security. I'm lucky because my wife is a nurse practitioner,
You're right.
so she knows all that stuff. She's really good at what she does, and so I've never really worried about that. Though someone said, you know what happens if she's the one sick? You should take some kind of training. That's always lingered in the back of my head. That
Yeah.
that they are correct. They
Well,
should.
it's funny you say that because my daughter's a veterinarian. Her
Okay.
fiance is an oncologist.
Okay.
Got 2 boys who are soldiers, one married to another MP, and the other one's married to an ER nurse.
Okay.
And then me being
My
an
wife was
engineer,
both.
I'm in an OSHA
Yeah.
environment, so I had to take the medic first aid, all that
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
The one person who doesn't know first aid CPR is my wife, and I said, "What if I keel over?" And she said, "I'm gonna zap you." I don't know what the hell that meant. But, we were joking about it, and then the other day she came back and said, we never finished that conversation. We need to probably I'm blessed, I'm gonna have my daughter-in-law and granddaughter with us for about a month and a half.
Awesome.
She's like, "We may have to set up or conceal class updates and or medic first aids." So now, like, this weekend, that's gonna be one of my topics is to find training for the ladies to upgrade them. But yeah, to your point, cross training is probably really valuable.
Yes. Yeah. You just, you look for where you think you're deficient and weak.
Mhm.
Like I was talking to Allie's Adventures about gardening, and she knows a lot of gardening stuff, and it's a weakness. It's a weakness. I'm
Mhm.
trying my best. I'm trying to learn. Gardening takes time. It takes, there's all kinds of different things that go into it, from soil to climate to whatever. And I'm doing the best I can. And my garden was pretty good this year, but I had to buy starts. I wasn't able to germinate on my own.
Right.
So this year we're going to really focus on doing that. But I think once I get that down and a little bit more, just being a little bit more hands on with things, because a lot of it was I just get busy, like, holy crap, I forgot to water, or something like that.
Right.
Now that's less of an excuse just because way we've made stuff. Plus, we want to do other things. We want to make like a rain barrel and all that. So, uh,
Yeah, we
you
don't
know,
get a lot of rain out here. That
no, we are, we're mid Atlantic, so we actually,
Oh, no.
ours is about as good as you could hope for
No, I'm
precipitation.
somewhere between a grassland and a desert, so I have
Okay.
camouflage tarantulas. That's what I got. That's all
Oh,
sorts of
lovely.
fun. Yeah. Oof.
Nice.
Anyway, yeah. Man, I'm not seeing any more questions for us. Um, I'm trying to look. We got a lot of talk about animals and birds and ham radios, which is great. I think that's awesome too.
Oh yeah, that's I was looking back to my eBay history, and I got this thing for my my Baofeng, which is like training thing, and I never really got to it, and that's been playing in my head. Now that's the thing. You always, I mean, it sucks, but you kind of always have to be thinking about this stuff. And there's so
Yeah.
much. Like I'm a dad. I do coaching. I,
Right. You
I do all kinds of stuff, and I just,
yeah.
there's never enough time in the day. I want to be
I
good at everything. I want to be able to know it all, but it's all a long process.
I'm a relatively young empty nester, and I've told my wife, and she's agreed with me that there were times when the kids were about the age of yours and then up until they graduated. It was like a gray blur because it's like you come home and one kid's in crutches and you're like, what the hell happened to you? This one needs to go to practice. And this one got in trouble with the principal for saying bad words. And so I got to sign that paper and help that one with homework, then come back to crutches boy over here. And you never stop.
No.
And now I'm on the other end of it. And Rona hit like 6 months after the youngest moved out. And everything went like a second gear now because it's like, wow, I actually have time to think.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
You can process adult thought now and go, but oh, somebody didn't like the spider.
Oh,
Anyway.
I'm afraid I hate spiders.
No,
That's
this was a massive desert camo spider that my cat
oh,
killed and brought to me.
oh my gosh.
So he got tuna for the kill, but I wanted no part of the spider
No.
myself. So
Snakes I can handle, like I'm not
oh,
afraid of
this is
those.
here's a
But
good one. Best music to prep, I would recommend Kill Shit Till I Die from Hardy. If you have not, it is an absolute song about prepping. Like
my
literally,
God, that's awesome.
have you seen that one or
No.
listened to it? It's
No.
I'd play it, but they're gonna copyright me. It's literally called Kill Shit Till I Die by the country artist called Hardy.
Okay.
He's
Okay.
also the one who sang the song Stay in the Truck with what's her name? the little redheaded singer. But that song is literally talking about power going out, Walmart's hitting the fan, like the whole literally what we all talk about in a song.
I will check that out.
You have to, and
Yeah.
it's a good. Oh, this roaming said camo tarantula.
Oh. No,
No, it
let's
wasn't
see.
Reba. It was
The
someone else.
band I found lately that's I was real into like kind of math rock and stuff. I was real into like Primus and
POD.
yeah, stuff 90s like kind of more music driven, but they do instrumental. Like Primus is a good example. Dillinger Escape Plan's another one. Um Faith No More and all that. Oh god, what's that offshoot band? Um, anyway, Mr. Bungle, stuff like that. I found this band that's along their lines. They're Australian. They've been out about 15 years. But my friends just turned me on to them, and they've put out like 25 albums, and they're all young, and it's phenomenal, awesome, well done music. They're called King Gizzard the Lizard Wizard. I have got to see them live because they are like totally would have been my kind of band when I was like nerding out on rock and roll. Um, King Gizzard the Lizard Wizard, and it's all like just really well done music. They're real. It's intelligent music. They'll just play and they'll get grooving. Some songs are 15 minutes long. Some are like
Pantera.
3. Yeah, like
There's
it's
another
just
one.
yeah. Pantera is a good one. Yeah, they were my find as of late because I just thought I had gotten to that point where I was like, all music nowadays sucks. And my friends was like, well, no, have you heard of this band? And they
They
came
got
out like,
some good ones out there, but you got to find them. They're not the
oh
popular
man,
ones.
this stuff was good. I listened all afternoon one day. I was like, holy crap, like this is a good band. And it's just, I can tell you the names of the songs, but you and I are from a generation, we didn't know the name of the song. You just knew it as track 7.
Yeah.
You put something on and you'd go do it and you have the music in your
Yeah,
head.
we'd have to put the radio next to the radio so you could record a tape of the music when it
Oh yeah.
came on. You'd hear your song and you'd run over and try to start the tape.
Oh yeah.
And
Absolutely.
then if you screwed it up, you'd be pissed for an hour.
Hmm. Yep.
Well, yeah. So, man, brother, it looks like we don't have any more questions. Thank you, Lucky. Yeah, Lucky and I kind of posted the link out there. So if you guys want to listen to the music,
I will check that out.
it's definitely a very cool song. And Smashing Pumpkins. There you go.
Smashing Pumpkins is good.
Actually, we got to hear Foreigner in concert out here in Texas.
Okay.
And I think the drummer passed away, the old drummer, but they put on a great show. And then they had this intermission, and the young drummer came out and did a solo, then the guitarist, and then the lead singer comes out and says, "So y'all, in order for us to tour, since we're not young, our doctor has to come with us. And Dr. Nancy, she checks blood pressure and all that to make sure we're
Mhm.
not sick." And he said, because, all of y'all's age starts with a 5 or more, doesn't it? And the whole audience cracks up because we get it.
Yeah.
But it's neat listening to some of the old songs. People are like, Israel offered Egypt the Gaza Strip back. And they said, no way.
No.
Oh, man. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap this one up. This gentleman probably has to get back to rounding up the
Yeah.
kids. But
It looked as an hour and 34 minutes feels like 20 minutes. It was
yeah, I
a great
know.
talk.
This was, as always, an epic conversation.
Yeah.
And hopefully everyone in the audience and anyone who watches the replay can walk away with something from this one.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody. Support the preppers, stay positive and keep doing something every day, even if it's,
Mhm.
5 minutes worth of something, doesn't matter.
Yep.
Let's always be working towards whatever you're working towards.
Yep. Every day. Don't have to spend a lot of money.
Now,
Folks, be safe out there. God bless. Godspeed. Thank you. PrepperNow, did you have any other last bits of wisdom before we call it a night?
no, I mean, it's going to get worse before it gets better. So just keep doing what you're supposed to be doing. You
There
all
you
know
go.
that. They're smart. These are the smart kids.
There you go. Well, folks, take care of yourselves out there, and PrepperNow, hang out for a second. We'll chat some more. ladies and gentlemen, y'all be safe out there. Take care.
All right. Bye, guys.